When I said yesterday that what happened at Donald Trump's Ku Klux Klan rally was staged, a lot of you all were in agreement that it was staged. A lot of you all said it was a ploy, it was manufactured, you didn't believe it, it was an attempt to get sympathy votes to switch the narrative, and a lot of MAGA nuts retweeted what I tweeted and said, oh yeah, it's absolutely staged, when they're interviewing people with blood on their shirts, when there's a shooter that's dead, when there's a Ku Klux Klan rally attendee that's dead, when they came back and told me all of that, and I stood in what I said. It's staged, it's manufactured, it's a ploy. And when I said that, I meant because nothing is what it seems when it comes to Donald Trump and the MAGA Nut Party. What I meant was the campaign for Donald Trump, Republicans, they will do anything to try to win the presidency, to try to strip away votes from Joe Biden, including manufacturing an assassination attempt where one of their own is murdered, along with the person that they paid, the one that they talked into to commit the crime. A lot of y'all was down in my comments talking shit. And this morning, when I woke up, the first thing I saw was that they had identified the shooter. Not only did they identify the shooter, they identified that he was a registered Republican and that he belonged to right-wing militia groups. Excuse me, correction. Extreme right-wing militia groups. You had MAGA nuts retweeting what I put out there on Twitter, saying that, oh yeah, it's a staged event when you got this and when you got that. Oh yeah, this woman is delusional. She's suffering from Trump derangement syndrome and all of that stuff. I even had MAGA nuts tell me that this event happened because of the propaganda that I spread. What propaganda? The truth? Facts? That's the propaganda you're talking about? Yeah, I've said it before and I'll say it again. It is those who listens to everything that comes from the MAGA Nut Party and their MAGA Nut King that suffer from Trump derangement syndrome, because they can't look at situations and see them for what they are. They can't use context clues. They can't. They are completely brainwashed. They believe everything that comes from Donald Trump and his sycophants. And before I laid my head down last night, you had sycophantic Donald Trump MAGA nuts talking about Joe Biden was the one who did this. Joe Biden has blood on his hands. It is our rhetoric that causes this type of violence, when it is them that is constantly spewing violence, that is constantly threatening us. Didn't the man over the Heritage Foundation tell us that we are in the second American Revolution and it will be bloodless if the Democrats sit by and let it happen? That's a threat. That is a violent threat. The threats that I get on the regular from doing what it is that I do, that comes from MAGA nut supporters. When I criticize Democrats, I don't get that type of rhetoric from Democrats. And now that it is the next day and we've learned who the shooter is, we've also learned that the shooter is a registered Republican. We've also learned that the shooter is a part of extreme right-wing groups. Ben Meiselas is the first one that I saw this information from. That would be the Midas Touch Network. Let's listen to what he has to say, shall we?
The shooter at the Trump rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. It's an individual by the name of Thomas Matthew Crooks that is being reported by the New York Post as being ID'd as the suspect who engaged in the shooting at the Pennsylvania rally. And now the FBI has officially identified Thomas Matthew Crooks, 20 of Bethel Park, Pennsylvania, as the shooter in the Butler, Pennsylvania Trump rally. Crooks was shot and killed at the scene. Here's the statement from the FBI moments ago. The FBI has identified Thomas Matthew Crooks, 20, of Bethel Park, Pennsylvania, as the subject involved in the assassination attempt of former President Donald Trump on July 13th in Butler, Pennsylvania. This remains an active and ongoing investigation. Anyone with information that may assist with the investigation is encouraged to submit photos or videos to fbi.gov/Butler. The exact type of gun is unknown. Could be an AR-15 or some sort of semi-automatic rifle that was recovered at the scene. Going through Thomas Matthew Crooks' voter ID, having the same address in Bethel Park, Pennsylvania, of this 20-year-old. The suspect, the individual, is registered as a Republican. Roger Sullenberger reports as well. If this New York Post report is accurate on name, age, and location, the shooter appears to be a registered Republican. The shooter also wearing a Demolition Ranch T-shirt. Demolition Ranch, a far right-wing Second Amendment group that advocates for unlimited use of weapons, AR-15 style weapons. You can take a look at the shirt. It's a graphic photo, I want to warn you. Here it is of the suspected shooter, Thomas Crooks, there after he was neutralized by the Secret Service. You take a look at the shirt that he's wearing. It does appear to be the exact same types of shirts that are being sold on the bunker branding demolition T-shirt. That group also has a well-known kind of right-wing YouTube site that advocates for basically unlimited use of guns right there.
I said what I said, and I'll add more to it before I take anything back. Donald Trump and the Trump campaign needed to switch the narrative. They needed to change the conversation from Project 2025. They needed to change the conversation from the Epstein files and the Epstein files being connected to Donald Trump. They needed to change the narrative that was taking place in regards to Joe Biden. Every single day, the media was talking about Joe Biden, even though they were talking about Joe Biden negatively. If they were talking about Joe Biden, they weren't talking about Donald Trump. So Donald Trump said a few days ago that something big was going to be happening. He told us, and here we are. Here we are. Donald Trump and the Trump campaign needed to change the narrative from the fact that the polls had not changed, even though all of this negative talk was happening about Joe Biden. They needed to change that, and they needed to change it positively for Donald Trump. And we all know that Donald Trump and his merry band of scoundrels are not below injuring people, killing people. We saw that on January 6th. The MAGA nuts may not want to believe that Donald Trump is responsible for the death of those that died on January 6th, but the rest of us who do not suffer from Trump derangement syndrome, we are clear that he is capable of murder. Yeah, I said what I said. All of this is orchestrated by the Trump campaign. And now I want to leave you with this tip. November will soon be here. Donald Trump will be on the ballot, and Joe Biden will be on the ballot. Vote blue in November.